Hello, good morning, home health heroes. It is I, your friend Amy Register, with my mom, the home health mentor, Teresa Register, who has been in the home health care business in various aspects, starting with her nursing career, going all the way to administration, and even doing several years with an accrediting agency. So she's sampled the entire platter and found it to be delicious. Today, we thought we would do story time with T. Regi. That's what I call my mom sometimes, or T. Regisaurus Rex. We were just talking before we went live about the challenges of doing this, but also the desire. And just so you know, my mom's deepest desire is to leave a legacy for all you wonderful home health care folk who want to do this right and who want to do this for the right reasons. You love people, you want to serve them. So if that's you, you will want to subscribe to us on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel now, and you can even find us online at thehomehealthmentor.com, where we are currently uploading various bits and pieces and helps. And so today we're going to kick into this with story time. Mama, take it away.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so a lot of these topics can be pretty boring and pretty dry. And if you knew Amy, you would know that she likes to jazz things up a little bit. So she is responsible for picking the title, Disgusting Discharge Planning, or Disgusting Discharge. So yeah, I said, maybe I should start off with a funny story from my surveying days. It's not related to the topic, but it's funny. So
it's just for kicks.
Just, you know,
sometimes we want to do stuff just for kicks.
Yeah, just for fun. So this happened probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. And one of the patients that I wanted to do a home visit with lived. So usually surveyors try to choose patients that are close to the office because time is limited, and we always tried to pick a sample that represented the types of patients the agency served, but also that were close enough that we could get, to and from patients' houses fairly quickly. But this patient, for some reason, and I don't recall what it was, but I really wanted to see what was happening with this particular patient. So we put that patient on the schedule first thing in the morning so that we would leave the office early and get to the patient's house at a decent time. So I think we left the office, around 7 o'clock in the morning. And all the way there, the nurse who was driving me kept pushing on the gas pedal, then letting up, then pushing on the pedal and letting up. And it went that way for a very long time. And I was literally getting sick to my stomach. I was literally tried not to, be rude or be difficult. But I said, do you think maybe you could just hold the speed at a steady pace? Because I'm getting a little sick to my stomach. And I actually thought I might have to have her stop.
Oh my goodness.
She said, "Oh, I'm sorry." So she did fine for a while.
Stephanie,
and then she started doing
oscillating
it again.
Ophelia. All right. I can't believe she didn't have cruise control.
So well, I don't know if she had cruise control, that she wasn't using it if she did. So it was like that, and about maybe 10 minutes from when we should be arriving, I said, do you think we could try that steady pace again? Because I was literally getting sick. And she said, "Oh yes, I am so sorry." And within seconds, she burst into singing Jesus wants me for a sunbeam.
Oh my goodness.
And I could not contain myself. I just had to look away and just, try my best to hide my laughter. But it's those kinds of memories that as I recall my years as a surveyor, those are the kinds of funny memories that come to mind. And so just on a lighter note, I thought I would share that story because surveyors are real people. We 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 get sick to our stomach. We deal with frustration, but the job also has a lot of funny parts to it. So I just thought I'd share that story.
Great song choice for Stumpy Stephanie. I approve. I think the takeaways here are use cruise control if you find that you are kind of a driving rocker, and choose a song that makes you happy and lighthearted.
Yeah, next week I'll try and tell the story about going the wrong way down a one-way street.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Can't wait for that one.
Yes. Many more fun memories.
So today's topic.
Yeah.
Yes. So today's topic. So I wanted to talk about discharge planning. And we recently, as a family, had an incident that I thought I would share as sort of a case study, because discharge planning is one of those areas where surveyors are really honing in on to evaluate how agencies are handling them. Any type of transition from one type of facility to another, one level of care to another, is always a higher risk for problems. We know that probably 1 in 10 or so discharges from the hospital ends up in a rehospitalization. And that's because there are all kinds of problems that usually occur when you're, discharging a patient, and the patient is confused about what medications they were taking before that they're supposed to take after. A lot of times there's new medications. They can be medications with the same name or the same content, but with a different name, or the medicine looks different. The pill is a different color. Anyway, discharge planning is a big deal. And whether it's from hospital to home care or home care to community, it's an area where surveyors are really going to be looking closely at what is, happening to the patient, so that the patient's not lost in the transition. So the story I wanted to tell you, the case study, is about my nephew who had a stroke about 10 years ago, and he was disabled permanently from that stroke. He did eventually, regain his ability to walk. He is able to talk, but not real clearly. His mind is fine. He has a great sense of humor. There's, a lot of things that he retained, but he did run into some disabilities. So then about 2.5, 3 months ago, he collapsed at home and was taken by ambulance to a local hospital. He was intubated on the way there for respiratory problems, and he was put on a ventilator. He was diagnosed with COVID and spent about 3.5 weeks in the hospital, was then transitioned to a rehab facility where he spent 20 days at the rehab facility. He was getting daily physical therapy in the facility. And when it came time for his Medicare days to be up, it was planned that he would be referred to a home health agency for follow-up care. So you can imagine that with my background, I was very concerned that there be good continuity of care from the rehab facility to home health. And that did not happen. I'll just make that real clear off the bat.
We're not naming any names, but home health care, you home health care folks in Eastern Arkansas better step up your game or you're going to be on blast.
Yes. Well, I would probably want to also say that it's not one home health agency. And I can say this, and I want to make this very clear, that a home health agency has to first do an evaluation of the patient. They have to assess the patient before they decide how many days of services to provide. As a surveyor, I can tell you, I saw physical therapy being ordered 3 times a week, times 9 weeks, repeatedly. I rarely saw any agencies individualizing a patient's therapy. And I'm saying that because that's exactly what happened in this agency. And as difficult as it is for me to accept that that's the way it is, I can tell you that agencies have actually even sort of trained physicians to comply with their frequency of 3 times a week. When my nephew was being discharged or transitioned from the rehab facility to home health, I spoke with the intake nurse that was supposed to be taking care of his transition to home health, and told her that he had been receiving therapy daily and he was just getting started using a standing frame, and that we would need to see that continued. She told me immediately, we only do physical therapy 3 times a week. And I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen that you provide this service. You say you provide this service, so you accept this patient or not. You accept the patient based on their diagnosis and the services that he needs, the services you provide. Then you have a therapist evaluate him, and the therapist, who is the professional who can tell us, what frequency is the best for him. Then we go from there. And if the physician agrees with 3 times a week, then we have to deal with that. But we talked with the physician, and the physician thought that the daily therapy should continue. Well, that agency, that home health agency, ended up not taking him as a patient.
This is kind of mind-blowing because you wouldn't do that on anything else. It's like, well, I'm rolling you into the ER because you're having a heart attack. But we don't do heart attacks here. We just do liver surgeries. So, well,
or we
that's not
or
how
we do heart attacks,
healthcare.
but not for you. So,
yeah, that's not how any kind of healthcare works. So it's surprising to me that someone would think that like someone might need something, but we just don't do it.
Well, we're not going to do it that frequently because, frankly, it's going to cost some money. So then I also was surprised when I was told by that intake nurse that even if they admitted him, that when he plateaued, they would have to discharge. And I said to myself, obviously, these people don't know anything about the court case Jimmo versus Sebelius. In that court case, it was clarified that maintenance therapy to keep a patient from going downhill is valid use of Medicare dollars.
Absolutely.
So there were a number of things. This agency's staff was not up on the requirements. So, sorry, I'm having to clear my throat here. So yeah, there were a number of issues in the whole discharge. The facility where he was being discharged from gave the family a lot of misinformation. He had been on a mechanical soft diet for a week, and the discharge planner told the family that he would need a pureed diet. So they had made preparations for food for that purpose. And then it turned out the day of, they found out that that was not the case. They were not told that the home health agency they thought he was being discharged to, that they had declined to admit him. And they didn't tell the family that until the patient was already in the car ready to go home. They also had told the family that they would need a sliding board for transitioning from the bed to a wheelchair or wheelchair to a commode. And they initially told the family that Medicare would cover that. Then they said, no, they won't cover it, but we have one you can borrow. And then at the time of discharge, the therapist said, I only have 2 of those, so I can't loan you one after all. So there were all kinds of these things that happened, and I could share more, but you get the point. There are a lot of loose ends in this whole process. And so even though this was a transition from a rehab facility to home health, this same kind of thing happens in discharges from home health to the community. So the whole reason I wanted to share this is not just to complain, because I already did that, but to point out that a lot of times the person who is trying to plan the discharge isn't really doing a very thorough job and communicating well with the family. And it happens in home health as well as in the hospital, as well as in rehab facilities. And surveyors know this. And so when they are looking at the documentation for, they'll pull discharged charts. They'll pull patient charts of discharged patients, and they will look at the pattern of documentation for discharge planning. If the information leaves gaps, then that's going to be a problem. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to just, tell the story to complain per se, or to point out the problem areas. What I wanted to do is to give people an understanding of what they can do and a tool they can use to improve the discharge planning process. So there is one that I'm going to post on my Facebook page that will
I'll put it under
great
this
tool.
Discussion as well.
Okay, yeah. The title of the article is it's called DEAL, Discharge Planning Overview, Process and Checklist, and it's a guide to patient and family engagement. So it's a number of pages long, like 7 pages in the article, but it's got some great tools to help your staff be thorough in their discharge planning. So yes, we will post that so you can download it and hopefully use it for training your staff who will be doing your discharge planning.
All right, I found the link and I'll put it here in the.
So I would be happy if there's any comments or questions from anyone. I'd be happy to have them post that on my Facebook page and get back to them.
Awesome. Yeah, that looks really helpful. I just posted it there in the chat for those of you who are watching right now, and we'll have it on the Facebook page and YouTube description in case you want to go back to this at any time.
Okay, that was really all I had planned for today, and we'll plan to pick up again next week.
All right, and if you guys like the stories and the 4 instances, if the case studies help, let us know, because we want to provide as much information and value as we can, and we want to help you be able to find resources. So let us know what works for you, what you like, and maybe we can do more of that in the future. Thanks for joining us. Get ready for next week when we're going to talk more about, what are we talking about next week, Mama?
I haven't decided yet. I really would like people to give me their list of requests, but if I don't hear anything from anyone for next week, I'll just have to pick something.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pick more stories if I get to choose. More funny stories from the field. All right. Well,
yes.
Thanks for joining
yes,
us.
I will tell you about going.
Sorry, we've got a little delay going on.
I think I lost. Yes.
All right. Well, I'll just call it then. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week with more stories from the field, or maybe some other how-tos or tools. Yeah, let us know how we can serve you. Thank you so much. Bye for now.